Wisconsin has had some really good coaches over the years that include Barry Alvarez, Brett Bielema, Paul Chryst, and Gary Andersen. In today's video, we're going to actually take a deeper dive at the Gary Andersen tenure, his time at Wisconsin, and his complete failure at Oregon State. Funny enough, he may have thought he had a better chance to win national titles with the Beavers because he shockingly left Wisconsin to take the Oregon State job, and it ended up costing him his career. Today we'll talk about the rise and fall of Gary Andersen and what ultimately went wrong for his Power 5 head coaching gigs. But first, if you love college football, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, subscribe to Jonathan from Erase the Grind, suggest what coach I should do next, and stay until the end. Now let's get started and talk about the rise and fall of Gary Andersen. Going back in time, Gary played football from a young age and became a first-team All-American at a school called Rick's College, and then he would transfer to Utah for 2 more years to complete his college degree. He got his first start at Utah coaching-wise as well, and he would stay there until he took the head coaching job at Southern Utah. He would spend 1 year there before he was hired back to Utah's staff by Urban Meyer, and in 2008, after he almost won the Broyles Award, he took the head coaching job at Utah State. It would start out tough as he went 4-8 in both his first 2 seasons, but then the Aggies started to turn a corner. They would go 7-6, and then in 2012, he would have his breakout year. Utah State went 11-2 and finished ranked number 16 in the nation, and their only 2 losses came to Wisconsin and BYU. His name was one of the hotter coaching names in the country, and after Brett Bielema left for Arkansas, Wisconsin tabbed him to be their next head coach. And let me turn it over to Jonathan to talk about his time with the Badgers.
Gary Andersen was hired by Wisconsin after Brett Bielema bolted from the Badgers after being hired by Arkansas. Andersen was well received by Wisconsin media and spoke about wrapping his arms around players academically, socially, and athletically in his introductory press conference. He talked about how he was going to treat the players like they were his own kids and how he planned to engage with them. Bucky Fifth Quarter wrote in an article released in 2014, he was mild-mannered, well-spoken, and appeared to have a much different personality from Bielema, which was generally accepted and welcomed. In 2 seasons, Andersen went 19-7, and if not for a botched call by referees at Arizona State, the Badgers could have had 2 10-win seasons. Andersen also led Wisconsin on a 7-game win streak to win the inaugural Big Ten West title. He went 5-0 in Wisconsin's trophy games, beating Minnesota and Iowa twice, and Nebraska in their inaugural rivalry game where Melvin Gordon rushed for 408 yards in 3 quarters and the Badgers won in a blowout. Andersen quickly made changes to the program. He changed the defense from a 4-3 that Charlie Partridge and Chris Ash ran at the program to a 3-4. He also brought in Dave Aranda to the program, who led great defenses at Wisconsin from 2013 to 2015, before leaving for the LSU job. In 2013, 9 seniors helped make the defensive transition go smoothly, and Aranda replaced those 9 players with a group of less known, hungry players in 2014 that played extremely well. On offense, Andersen led the Badgers to their 2 best rushing seasons in school history, with a 3-headed attack of Melvin Gordon, James White, and Corey Clement. In 2013, the team rushed for over 3,500 yards while passing for 2,500 yards, and were one of 4 FBS teams to do so that season. Tanner McElvoy also helped in the running game in 2014, breaking Brooke Bollinger's quarterback rushing record with 574 yards. In 2014, the team rushed for a total of 4,082 yards. In recruiting, Andersen built recruiting pipelines in Texas, California, and New Jersey in hopes to bring the program to the next level while also sustaining their connections in Florida. But there were also some negatives under the Andersen era. A senior day loss in 2013 to an unranked Penn State team knocked the Badgers out of BCS Bowl contention. Along with that, with the loss of Jared Aberderis in 2014, Andersen went with Tanner McElvoy over previous starter Joel Stave at quarterback in hopes to add another dimension to the offense. The pass offense sputtered, and McElvoy was pulled after going 4 for 10 for 24 yards and 4 interceptions against Northwestern, and Stave came in to replace him, but the damage was done and the Badgers lost 20-14. Andersen also struggled with communication with the media from time to time and with Wisconsin high school coaches. When asked why Gordon had less carries in the second half loss to LSU, Andersen responded, "I don't know," instead of telling them he had a hip flexor issue. According to Bucky Fifth Quarter, days later in his Monday press conference, he noted Gordon's injury, but he was adamant and he wasn't pleased he had to disclose a player's personal injury. He told Wisconsin high school coaches he would call them to establish relationships, but to this day, some are still waiting for that call. All in all, besides a few missteps, he treated the media with respect. The players and Andersen seemed to have a strong relationship. They seemed to really care about him, and he seemed to really care about them. After Wisconsin's 59-0 loss to Ohio State in the 2014 Big Ten Championship, Andersen said he failed his players. After 2 years at Wisconsin, Andersen shocked players, coaches, and fans when he bolted to go to Oregon State. He accepted the job without even visiting the school. It is well noted that Andersen left Wisconsin in part due to their strict admissions. He said on the situation, "It's been well documented that there were some kids I couldn't get into school. That was highly frustrating to me. I lost some guys and I told them I wasn't going to lose them. I think they did what they were supposed to do academically and they still couldn't get in. That was really hard to deal with." Alvarez, who found out Andersen was leaving through a phone call while stuck in New York, says that nothing has changed in 25 years at Wisconsin. Both he and Bielema coached under the same regulations Andersen coached under. Back in 2015, a Fox Sports report stated Wisconsin required 17 high school units for admission. That's higher than Ohio State and Nebraska with 16, Oregon State with 15, and Michigan State with 14. According to the report, Wisconsin was second to Northwestern in the conference in football academic progression rate. A CNN report found that between 2007 and 2012, only 2% of the school's football enrollees did not achieve the accepted threshold for college literacy. Alvarez stated, "You get a meaningful degree. It's not a piece of paper that means you stayed eligible for 4 years." Andersen would leave a mark on the program, handled certain situations weirdly, and left Madison in a murky way, leaving his era at Wisconsin feeling incomplete. Now it's time for me to toss this back to Scott to talk about Andersen at Oregon State.
Obviously, Gary had jumped the ship to Oregon State and must have thought he had a better chance to win national titles there instead of Wisconsin. Let's just say that his Beaver tenure did not go according to plan whatsoever. Andersen came in to replace Mike Riley, who had shockingly left for Nebraska, and there were high expectations that he could keep Beaver football relevant or even help them climb higher. Well, as I said, it did not go to plan at all, as in his first year, the Beavers went 2-10 and basically looked non-competitive and lost in every single game they lost. This was not the kind of start that he needed there, but I mean, it was only year one, so they had to give him a pass, right? Well, things did not get much better as they started out the 2016 season 2-8. And Beavers fans at this point were furious and ready to run him out of town already, and they had shown no progress. Unfortunately, he had beaten Arizona and arch-rival Oregon in his last 2 games, and that improved them to a 4-8 record, which I guess was enough momentum to keep him around for one more year, which would be a horrible mistake for the program. Besides a win over Portland State, the Beavers went 1-11 in 2017, and this had to be the worst year in school history, and the Beavers had become Kansas level. After the 1-5 start, Andersen had resigned from the program and had left all $12 million of his buyout money with the school, and he knew he had failed the program, and it was time for him to step down. He had left breadcrumbs of that in previous post-game interviews, but now this helped the school a lot, as Oregon State actually brought in the second least amount of money in the Pac-12, and also gave their interim head coach Corey Hall a chance to become the guy. Obviously, a lot went wrong for Oregon State, and their next head coach, they hired former quarterback star Jonathan Smith as their next guy, and he has helped turn around Oregon State football. And check out my video about that down in the comment section. From there, Andersen took an assistant job with Utah, before he once again became the head coach of Utah State, and he replaced Matt Wells, who took the Texas Tech job. Andersen didn't last at Utah State in his second stint, as he was fired, and it's just been a tragic downfall for him since he left Wisconsin. So what exactly went wrong? Well, it's hard to win at Oregon State to begin with. His recruiting classes were very weak, he made some terrible assistant coaching hires, and he just didn't have any talent on the roster. He ran off star quarterback Marcus McMaryion, and he just didn't have any star power on the team, the culture was not fixed, and the program kind of lost faith in him. Mike Riley had his own culture and system there, and Andersen just couldn't achieve his own culture, and he lost so much sleep and weight, hated his job so much, and lost so much momentum, he saw no point in being there and walked away from $12 million. I hope Gary finds a job as an assistant coach somewhere and continues to coach football because that's what he loves. He may have had a lot of struggle in his career, but he did have some good moments at Wisconsin and at Utah State, and I genuinely believe he's a good dude, and I respect the financial decision he made for Oregon State's program. What do you think of him as an Oregon State or Wisconsin fan? I want to know what you think of him and why he failed there, and just your thoughts on today's video. Let me know another coach I should take a look at next. Be sure to subscribe before you go, give the video a like, subscribe to Jonathan's channel at Embrace the Grind, and check out my video about the rise and fall of Bret Bielema. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.